Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on the YouTube channel. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me in the co-host, as always, is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
We want to remind everybody tonight that Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you by Home Circle Media for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you by KC Fox, that's KAYCIFOXX, for all of your artwork, cosplay, and commission needs. Be sure to check out KC Fox on Facebook and Instagram. We're also brought to you by Darren.
Yes, for all of your lawn care needs in the triangle, visit my Facebook page at facebook.com/SSS Lawns, and I will get your yard looking like the best in the neighborhood.
Once again, welcome back to Anime-Zing Radio. We took last weekend off. I know we talked about possibly doing a show on the 1st, but after the gauntlet that I was in the middle of, I needed the mental break. So if you're mad, be mad at me. Every now and then we need to just step away and recharge our battery so we can come back better and better than ever and ready to have more fun. We are honored tonight. We're going to have two amazing guests joining us. Joining us right now, we have got the man, the myth, the legend himself, fresh off of recovering from New York Comic-Con. We have Mario Bueno joining us. Welcome back, Mario.
Glad to be back. Good to see you guys again. I totally feel you there. It has been basically also a gauntlet over on this end since last time I spoke to y'all right after Virtual Crunchyroll Expo. And yeah, we're gearing up over here for the upcoming Anime NYC here in New York City, the weekend of November 19th. I'm actually still putting the finishing touches on a panel that I'm going to be presenting for Digital Era Entertainment, my production brand. That's going to be, if any of you happen to be swinging on by for Anime NYC, 7 p.m. on Saturday, November 20th in Panel Room 6. We're going to be talking a little bit about a project that we actually spoke about last time I was here, our upcoming pro wrestling visual novel, Kokoro no Pro, as well as just a little bit of an introduction for folks who either may not be familiar with Digital Era Entertainment or who may have remembered some of our older stuff and are just coming back to the brand. So lots going on. So I feel awesome. You there for needing a break, and glad you took one as well.
I think every now and then we all need those breaks. I know, Darren, you could use one as well. You work your tail off between your jobs and keeping up with the anime news and all the work you do behind the scenes, keeping me updated with stuff that's been going on.
Well, my job's about to slow down quite a bit. We finally had our first frost the other night, so things are about to quit growing, and I'm just going to be doing cleanups at the request of customers, and that's really about it. I have an offer from a friend to stay busy, potentially in the firewood business, but I need to hash out details with him. But for the most part, with it getting dark at 5:30 and 6 o'clock, I will definitely have more time for anime when I'm not stuck at my day job.
And Lord knows there is a ton of anime out there to catch up on, try to keep up with. I know there are so many good shows that have come out, and I took a little bit of time earlier this week to try to catch up on a few, including going back and revisiting Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2. I finished it all in Japanese, rewatching it in English. Of course, we recently had the Kobayashi's Dragon Maid special. Big thank you to Rachel Glass and Christy Rothrock for joining us for that. That was a blast. Wonderful ladies. Looking forward to chatting with them in the future. We do have a programming note that I want to let everybody know. Our last show of the year is going to be on Saturday, December 18th instead of Sunday. I'd forgotten about some plans that were made on the 19th, so I don't think I'm going to be home in time for a normal show. So clear your schedule for the 18th. We're going to be doing a voice actor roundtable. So far, Christy Rothrock has confirmed. I'm waiting to hear back from about 3 other people who are potentially interested. So good stuff coming down the pike. And as we mentioned, Mario, you have gone through the gauntlet after Crunchyroll Expo, and of course, New York Comic Con. How was New York Comic Con? We weren't able to get down there for that, and unfortunately, we're not going to make it Anime NYC either.
Oh, not a problem. So this was an interesting one for a lot of folks, including the folks I was working with from Crunchyroll. This was a lot of people's first show back. It is quite a show to be going back to when you consider how busy New York Comic Con usually is, and the size of the show, certainly pre-pandemic. One of the biggest adjustments really was being back in the thick of it with so many people after so long, really. Now, I say this having gone to an all elite wrestling show over at the Arthur Ashe Stadium, maybe about less than a month beforehand, but it was still a little bit jarring because after being so long, away from large swaths of people, to suddenly just be in the thick of it for days and days, it was wild. But that being said, one of the things that really stuck out to me, besides the fact that it was very well attended, considering that while we are out of the I guess you could say active phase of the pandemic, we're still dealing with the ongoing aftershocks, so to speak. A lot of people still managed to make it out, and more importantly, the folks at ReedPop had a lot of very strict health protocols in place. And it made it a lot more relaxing, not just from an attendee perspective, but just from the perspective of someone who, for all intents and purposes, had been kind of a shut-in for the past year and a half. So it was actually very refreshing knowing that we were in a very safe environment. But the biggest thing that was a surprise, going beyond the obvious base level health concerns and how they were handled, was how much anime really carried this year's Comic-Con. One of the biggest surprises was that a lot of the traditional comic book publishers and distributors, they were not there. In the case of DC Comics, it kind of made sense because they had their annual virtual event that they did last year, making a return, DC Fandom, just a few days removed from New York Comic Con, and they've since moved their base of operations for the comics division out to the Burbank area, along with the rest of Warner Media. So that kind of made sense. Marvel was one of the biggest ones that was a very noticeable omission, because while they do have the emphasis on feature films and all that is out in Los Angeles as well, the comics department is still based here in New York City. There was a little bit of speculation, certainly amongst myself and other friends who are kind of in the know, because we've had friends who have worked at that company. But the general gist is they weren't there, and it was kind of weird. Even book publishers that are based here in New York, like Random House, Penguin, they were not there. It was the most literary representation we saw, other than indie publishers, which A+ for the indies. They definitely had a chance to shine this year. Were things like Yen Press. Like I said, it was a very anime, and in this case manga centric New York Comic Con. It felt like a dress rehearsal for Anime NYC in just a few weeks. I was like, well, this certainly is different. You had Toei going super hard with their Dragon Ball setup. Pun mostly not intended. You may have seen images floating around of this very impressive Vegeta in a giant ape form statue that was like the centerpiece of this very elaborate booth that Toei had put together. Like that was a sight to behold. And then you had Funimation not just having this large cluster of booths in the main exhibit hall, but they also had some spillover in what became kind of the external overflow. Similar to what you see in San Diego, just on a much, much smaller scale. But it was just really impressive to see anime having such a presence at a media expo like Comic-Con. And it really says a lot for, how strongly the licensors and the companies are really investing, certainly in not just the Western market as a whole, but especially in America. So those were kind of the big takeaways that I got from my time, on the floor for all 4 days of Comic-Con. And that's even before the stuff I was involved in. But happy to popcorn over if you guys have any further things you'd like to know about, so I can kind of get into that stuff for you.
Well, I have seen some things and heard some, little bit of talking about how anime has really, like, the pandemic has really helped boost anime, especially here in the US, where a lot of people who may have watched it casually, people like, unfortunately with Darren and myself, fortunately we stayed working through it all. But a lot of people lost jobs. They now were trying to find ways to kill time. Whether it's friends, family, whomever that they know may have introduced them, anime has blown up even more. So now you're seeing Funimation take advantage of that. Sentai Filmworks take advantage of that. A lot of these other companies, the dubbing companies, not just in the US, but I think all over the world, are kind of like almost struggling to keep up with the demand now. Where you have in Japan, I know they were making studios. Darren, what studio was it that they made specifically for an isekai?
Jobless Reincarnation. It was I forget the studio name, but they formed that studio specifically for that show.
Wow.
And I'm sure that's to keep up with the demand, because as they're putting stuff out there, and I know from talking with like Anthony Bowling and many other of the Funimation talent, the voice actors, the directors, script writers, and stuff like that, they have a huge backlog of shows waiting to be dubbed, while other shows are taking priority. Jobless Reincarnation, My Hero, One Piece is still going on. Like some of the bigger name shows are taking priority over other really good shows to be dubbed. And I know a lot of people, myself included, have been waiting to see shows get dubbed. And I'm trying to remember. I think it was Morgan Berry on her Facebook page who said that she was so happy to see so many new voice actors coming out, and Funimation bringing in all these new people. So if you're a fan of the dub, you're going to be hearing a lot of new voices. And people to keep an ear out for are people like Kiba Walker, Cole Fuster, very, very talented voice actors. I had the honor of meeting them at AAC a couple weeks ago, and wonderfully nice gentlemen, great talent. I recognized characters that they both have done, which kind of surprised Cole when it was like, oh wait, that's right, you were in The Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent. And that was quite, I think I caught him by surprise when I told him, that show was fantastic. I compare a lot to Snow White with the red hair. Just the storyline, the romance, the slow romance build up. You can see stuff happening. The difference is there's no kiss in Saint Magic Powers Omnipotent, which makes you want to flip a table because you're waiting for it. And I see our other guest is here in the quiz, so we're going to bring on the other gentleman who we are honored to have join us tonight. Please welcome Godswill Ugga Jr. Thank you so much, Godswill, for coming on with us.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
What's up, man?
Hello.
Thank you guys for having me.
And Godswill, of course, Darren and myself. Also joining us is our friend Mario Bueno, who's done a lot of work with Crunchyroll. He's got his own production company as well. Knowing both of you guys have been in the industry in a various amount of ways, I thought it'd be pretty cool for you guys to get to meet in case you hadn't previously.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Hello. It's funny because technically speaking, I know that we've interacted in recent times. In fact, one of the subjects of what I was just talking about before you popped on, New York Comic Con, but because I was masked and also helping out one of my buddies, we didn't get a chance to actually properly meet. I was helping out my friend D. Pitty.
Okay. Yeah.
The cameraman who was with him. Hi.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Yeah, I figured since we were going to be meeting on the show, I was like, I'm going to save this for when we're actually live.
Hey, yeah, better time now, right? More intimate, like the hustle and bustle of a con. Ooh, uh-oh.
Oh no!
Don't worry.
Disappeared.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. Go on.
Yeah, just the hustle and bustle of a con, right? It's hard to meet people, but no place like a podcast to really get to know somebody, right?
Absolutely.
And
So yeah, it's really great that we're finally gonna get to chat
Yeah.
without the insanity of a convention going on around us. So yeah,
Right.
Darren, are you gonna bring in all the 50,000 people so they feel at home?
Sure, why
All the
not?
background noise. And unfortunately, I was not able to make Anime NYC or New York Comic Con. But I hope you guys had a great time. From the sounds of it, Mario, I know you said it was a lot of fun to be back, a lot to get used to. What about you, Godswill? Was it tough to get back into the swing of things? Was this your first con back in person, or have you had a couple other events that you've been a part of?
Luckily, like it hasn't been my first con. Coming back, like I think, like I got to go to like a few small cons throughout the summertime, like DreamCon, which is hosted by RDC World, like a YouTube group, and that was like a small, more intimate con. Because definitely at first it was very hard. It's like, how do you talk to people again, right? How do you interact once again in public? But then, like by the time I got to New York Comic Con, I felt at home, and also I liked that like New York Comic Con wasn't as packed as it usually can be. So it was pretty nice. There we go. Cool. Got the camera back. There we go. So yeah, I felt pretty good coming back to New York Comic Con, especially since like they lowered the amount of attendance. The booths were more spread out. Everyone was in masks. And also I like the people in New York. They were more nice, funny enough, than like at San Diego Comic Con, like where everyone, at least my experience, like they've just been like very demanding. So New York Comic Con, people were nice. People, were like, please excuse me, thank you. And everyone like had a vibe of being grateful to be back at it.
I think that has a big thing to do with it. My first con back was Kineticon a couple months ago, and that's a multi-genre convention. But and we talked about this. My wife and I had talked about this at another anime convention back on the 24th, just before Halloween. That it's great to have the cons back, but they don't feel the same just yet because they're not the capacities that we're used to. I think when you're looking at it from a vendor standpoint, my wife has been able to get into the masquerade for both Kineticon and AAC, and both of them were like last minute entries. But because there's nobody, not a lot of people applying for masquerades, not a lot of people applying for certain things. There's more openings, and even day of competitions, people are able to register or walk on stage. I think it's something that it's going to take a lot of us to get used to, seeing the cons technically rebuild, because we've taken a big step back from where we were in 2019. I know, Darren, you and I in 2019 had talked about, are there too many conventions? Because every weekend you could find at least somewhere in the continental U.S., every weekend you could probably find 10 conventions.
Yeah. Like
whether don't hit a con.
Yeah, honestly, right? I mean, I agree with that. Like, where's like, of course, like some places like Nebraska, Kansas, they need their cons, right? You need a con that's local to you. But some places, Dallas or LA, New York, just boom, boom, Seattle, Emerald City Comic Con, the Sakura Con, right? And there was a moment like where I like 2020, I was like, I'm jaded. I already been on the the circuit, right? And then everything shut down, and then this is like coming back to it, and I feel grateful once again for cons.
I think we all, especially as content creators, Mario, with you with DEE, and I know, Godswill, you've done stuff, social media, things like that. As content creators, we didn't realize how much we loved the cons and how much we used the cons for inspiration, for content, in my case, for guests, for the show, until we couldn't go anymore.
Yeah.
And then it became a struggle. We had to think differently about, okay, how are we getting, what are we doing for content? Darren and I spent a lot of shows where we didn't have guests doing random top 10s, everything from waifus to isekais to, I have a notebook somewhere that's probably got 15 top 10 lists on there. And it made it more of a challenge for the standpoint of a podcaster or a creator to keep up with everything and try to keep fans excited about what you're putting out. And now that the conventions are back, it's like, okay, I know, like Kineticon, we were very fortunate to be covering it as press. I almost forgot how to cover it as press because it had gotten moved from like early summer to early fall. A lot of the people who helped with Kineticon weren't available. So the press side of things were confused. There was no press conferences like there had been years past, which I was preparing for. No private interviews, and their guest list was extensive. And much like you were saying, Mario, with the anime being at the forefront of New York Comic Con, Kineticon, I think, had over 20 Funimation voice actors.
Wow.
And they had everybody from up-and-comers like Sarah Wiedenhaft, who voiced Toru in Dragon Maid, to Caitlin Glass, Alexis Tipton, Todd Habercorn, Jeremy Inman, Josh Greeley, Elizabeth Maxwell, and it goes on. And then they had, of course, the comic side of things where all 4 original voice actors of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were on hand, including Rob Paulson, and Billy West was a guest at the convention. And like they had a ton of, I don't think I've seen Kineticon with that many guests before, and I've been going for years. So it was fun to get back into the swing of things. It was great to reconnect, and even get the shock of meeting a voice actress we weren't expecting to meet. Jeremy Inman's girlfriend, Kimberly Grace, is also a voice actress, and we know her from a couple of different shows, including My Roommate is a Cat. She voiced the main character's cat, Haru's little brother. And then in Demon Lord Retry, she's one of the 2 bunny girls, which, Mario, you remember. Actually, you both remember I used to have that bunny clip, that bunny soundbite.
Yeah.
Bunny. Well, Kimberly voiced the other girl from that village who would say hop after everything. So it's like, wait, really?
Oh, yeah. It's all come together.
It was kind of funny. I think we made Jeremy laugh when we went back on set. Like, we found out on Friday. We went back Saturday morning, not to see Jeremy, but we wanted her autograph.
Wow.
Like, hey, Jeremy, is Kimberly going to be coming down soon? We wanted to get her autograph. Wait, what? We're not here for you. He's like, that usually happens. She's better looking. Now, how has it been for you guys getting back out there? I know, Mario, you were saying it was great to be back, but the sight of the anime takeover of a Comic-Con, was that something to get used to, seeing that much anime representation at what usually is dominated, like you were saying, DC, Marvel, a lot of indie comics and stuff like that? Now you've got big booths from Funimation, Dragon Ball's right in your face, and so on and so forth.
After you, Godswill.
Personally, I'm happy to see anime take over. You know, I mean, it definitely was a giant shock to see anime like be such a big deal at New York Comic Con. I just got back from Complex Con, like in Long Beach, California, and it's like a big fashion, like spectacle, and a lot of it was anime inspired. Like pins, shirts, pants, socks, whatever you could think of, anime. And like those were the biggest sellers, and just to see like everyone wearing anime stuff, and it is like sort of like hard to get back into the swing of things, like as a business, or even personally, trying to remember like how to talk to people, trying to remember like how to interact. And in a way, like I'm sort of happy for it. Like I think like we needed to think about like how we as individuals and businesses like interacted with cons, because I mean it was about to get stale, right? Wasn't it? Like weren't we all like sort of getting to the point of getting tired of like, oh, it's the same people or it's the same things, same panels, and like at least for me, like speaking for myself, it's like I was starting to get jaded, like not like I didn't like it, but just sort of like, oh, cool, I'll see y'all at the next con, right? I'll see you guys, next week, or if not next week, next month, or not next month, next quarter. I don't know. We took it for granted. So For me, I am happy for having to sort of like stop, like having that giant pause and then getting back into it as we are right now. And then like, was there another part of the question? Sorry.
I don't remember anymore.
It's all good. Yeah.
I was like just so tuned in on just hearing your point of view, and in a way, it almost sounds like the pandemic saved you from being done with conventions.
Honestly,
instead of being like, you know what, I'm just going to walk away for now. You were forced to step away, so it's like I didn't have to make the decision. I miss being there. Now that I can go back, I have that excitement again.
Yes, very much. Like, I mean, I have friends like who were starting to go on like vacations, instead of going to conventions at a point, like, oh, I'm not going to go to Anime Expo this year. I'm just going to use my money to go to Japan or, travel someplace or just stay home, and yeah, the pandemic forced us to not go anywhere. And now that we're back, I definitely want to go see everybody again. I want to go hang out with folks once again and see how they've been doing. Now this period of going to cons is more the checkup on people and to make sure that everyone's doing all right, and then it's sort of like get the sort of training wheels and like how to talk to people again. So it's like, let's talk with other nerds who are having the same problem as me, right?
And on top of that, I'd also say it's because of that long pause and all the additional content that came out during that pause, I feel like going back, you'd have a lot more stuff to talk about.
Absolutely. Too many adventures that happened in the past 18 months, right? Like, even if it is just sort of like, oh, I played Animal Crossing or, I just played Fall Guys or more Smash or whatever, right? I think there's a lot, especially like anime catch-ups. I mean, hey, like the seasons of anime, I feel like it's been a wonderful time to be a nerd, especially during the pandemic. And I wonder what normal people are doing. So, I'll just throw like,
getting into nerd stuff. That's for sure.
Hey, there we go. We're winning. We're winning out here.
The main reason I laughed when you mentioned Animal Crossing is my wife and I, that's all we did today was on our Switches played Animal Crossing because I guess a new update had just dropped.
Yep.
And so I think we played for about 10 hours on and off of Animal Crossing. And I did switch over for about an hour and a half to Minecraft because for the last 2 months on the realm my wife and I play on, we've been trying to connect two houses that were, I want to say, is taking us like 2 months, not constantly of playing, but on and off, to gather enough materials to build a rail system.
Wow.
And I finally connected it yesterday.
Wow, that's some Death Stranding stuff right there.
It takes over a day, like it takes over a full daylight cycle to travel from one house to the other.
Wow.
And we need to get some more powered rail sections in so that we can try to make it fully automatic.
Wow.
Where you just hop in and you go and you're at, and by nightfall or a little after nightfall, you're at the next house.
That's cool.
I was laughing because Godswill, you were just an Among Us away from mentioning our trifecta of Game of the Year that we awarded last year. Like, so over at my brand, we do an annual top 10, games of the year.
Nice.
Last year, because it was such it was such an exception to the rule, just all across the boards. Like, it turned into a video essay where we were basically just talking about the experience of being through 2020. We made a collective decision. I had to fight for it at first because our editor-in-chief, who handles the gaming stuff, he was dead set. Fall Guys, ride or die. We're gonna do this. I'm like, dude, here's what this year was like. We had this weird situation, and these three games, in very different ways, represented all the best elements of what brought people together through that pandemic. Because they all really had this uniqueness to them. Some ways, like Animal Crossing, they were ways for people to, live life and even, in a more morbid sense, celebrate people's passings, because that was the only way people could really do it. People created memorials, people had services, people had graduations, they got married in this game. And then we had Among Us, which, it was such a weird inclusion because it came out in 2018, but it helped,
popularization,
yeah, it helped, generate political awareness. AOC, she had her Among Us stream like around election time. That got people engaged to vote. That's a video game.
I watched a lot of that. In fact, I follow like Valkyrie. Corpse Husband, Saikuno, Ash, LOL. Who was it? Disguised Toast. A lot of them I follow, and I was watching their streams until when they brought AOC on to play. Pokemon was another big one for that. And it was through watching them I started watching other gamers, and now I'm like addicted to the modded Among Us that you see the YouTubers Sunday, Jerome ASF, Sigils, Biffle, Henry. They play a lot of these modded Among Us games, including a My Hero Academia one, which was hysterical.
Wow.
the levels that we've come through, right?
Yeah, and we haven't even scratched the surface of VTubing and how much that exploded just in the past year alone.
Darren, isn't that your secret identity?
Sure, why not?
You VTube as Zenobia? Yeah.
It's definitely crazy.
It's actually kind of funny. One of my former I don't know if you can really call it business, but one of my former associations actually debuted their own VTuber earlier this year. And my friend that we interviewed in the past, Matt, he fell down the VTuber rabbit hole, and every time I see him, he's always got something VTuber related to say. And one of my other content creators that I knew when I was more active in the fan page community, he got his own VTube profile set up also.
Wow.
Like I said, it's everywhere now. I mean, the new members of HoloLive's English branch, they're going to be doing a guest spot at Anime NYC. HoloLive is going to have a booth at Anime NYC, so it's wild how much that particular part of the fandom has exploded as well. We could easily just talk about that as well, but again, kind of tying it back to the video game element. You see all these things that kind of just rose to prominence during this time. And there has been, a lot of, we were talking about, the normies, a lot of folks kind of falling into that rabbit hole with us because these were now made a lot more accessible. Among Us is one of the few games you can play on pretty much like Doom, almost everything. Give it time. It'll run on your refrigerator.
The next Skyrim.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's right. You could run that on your virtual assistant. We'll not say the name in case anyone has one within an earshot of this podcast. But you get what I'm saying. It's it really has helped make a lot of bridges for people. And going back to anime, that it has given more opportunities for anime to shine. So it's just really wild, thinking about how much has kind of opened up as a result of a truly, historic moment in time, which has, a lot of negative baggage to go with it. But there is still, so much positivity to be found, even in the darkest times of it.
Absolutely, that I agree. Especially as a nerd, I feel bad for sort of saying oh I had a good time during such a horrible time, but I honestly had a good time. I got to catch up on anime. I got to I got to do things that I want to do, but then also I got to keep connected to the people that are important to me in my life, because luckily we all play video games and we all watch anime together, watching anime on Discord, playing games together, and that's the way that we catch up and see how we're doing, and it kept our mental and emotional spirits up. I mean, and then now we get to go back in person, right, to these conventions and be like, okay, like it's sort of completing it all, and it feels like it doesn't feel like it's been the 2 years and the 10, like the 10 years and the 2 years that we've had, right? It feels like, okay, cool. Like I get to see you again very soon, even though it has been a long time, but not too long, thankfully.
Oh yeah. And as you were saying, like Mario, I'm sure you can agree, being a broadcaster, having your podcast that you've done for a long time, like us here, being able to connect with people have helped us to somewhat stay sane in a time when a lot of people were losing their minds because they didn't know what to do. The normies, as we've been calling them, they got to live
normies.
They got to live the otaku life, so to speak. How many animes do you see where the shut-in is the main focal point? The person who only leaves their house to walk to the local store to get food for the day and then go back home, and then they don't see daylight again until they need food next time. And now the whole world was somewhat forced to get into that. So it didn't matter your walk of life, your beliefs, nothing mattered because we were all forced to basically undergo the same treatment of you've got to stay home unless you're an essential worker, which fortunately working as a mechanic, I was an essential worker. Darren with fast food and stuff and landscaping, he didn't have much interaction with customers, so he was able to stay working. So we weren't exactly trapped at home for that whole amount of time, but it's still, it takes a lot out of you knowing that everything's going on, knowing that businesses are slow and so many businesses are not recovering from this.
I mean, like it's a grim time, but luckily, like nerd culture, like has been like the beacon that it has been, at least for me, like been keeping me like focused and positive and optimistic for what's to come. I mean, I do appreciate like anime, like usually having the protagonist that is more down and out, or the neat, the isekai protagonist that is the everyman that gets to grow as he keeps going, and understands the importance of connections with people, right? Even right now, watching Ranking of Kings, oh, my heart, seeing like someone who's disabled and, ridiculed, figure out how to keep on going. Like anime and video games have been the ongoing light that has kept me at least trudging forward and like makes me want to keep going stronger too.
Oh yeah. And on the subject of anime and isekai, and Mario, I think we've talked it with you about your thoughts on isekai in the past, but Godswill, you're amongst at least 2 isekai trash. How do you feel about the amount of isekai that has come out in the past 5 years? How it has exploded, where every season you're seeing between 3 and like 100 isekais coming out, and they keep trying something different.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that they keep on trying, and hey, people like it. The only thing I guess I wouldn't like about it is that like it might take up potential space for like another genre to maybe get some shine. Or maybe like another, like a studio to possibly work on something that we want them to work on. To hear like Madhouse is booked for years on end because there's just so many shows and probably a lot of those are isekai. I don't know, there's a fake example, but that's the only thing I guess I have a problem with, because I mean I'm not gonna watch all of it. I'm only gonna watch like the best of a season. I only have so much time, and people are telling me to watch real world stuff now. Like other things outside of anime. I'm like, there's only so many shows I can watch, but if there's good stuff, hey, I'll check it out, even if it is isekai. Luckily, I appreciate like how different they've made each isekai. It doesn't feel too similar all the time.
If I may, have you had a chance to check out World's Finest Assassin?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Minus assassin.
that one came onto my radar because of actually what I was mainly there for at New York Comic Con. So I was helping to present Crunchyroll's industry panel.
Nice.
One of the shows we were presenting for the audience was that show. At first, I'm like, oh boy, another isekai, woohoo! But I read, when reading over the synopsis for what we were going to present, looking over the trailers that we were going to show, I'm like, oh my god, this seems really interesting and very different. I finally sat down to actually watch it. I had heard some positive reviews from one of my cohorts. Actually, you may know them, Joel Gutman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
So
guy.
he's part of my crew and part of
Hey.
he's currently helming the podcast that we started over at my brand that I've been mostly ducking out because I'm doing other panels at the same time.
Hey.
So Joel had started watching it and he was like, oh yeah, no, it's actually really good. I'm like, that's great because it looked amazing. I finally sat down and watched all 5 episodes that are currently out as of yesterday.
Mhm.
It is mwah, chef's kiss. It does so many good things that are refreshing and different. The protagonist, he's OP with a reason. He's not just, he's not your traditional, horny teenage guy who just happens to show up in another world and he's super OP because, wish fulfillment. No. They give some great explanation. There is logic to everything that is done, even with the protagonist. They've set up a really good show. I'm very excited to see where it goes. So it's one of those that, like, even if you're kind of about isekai, definitely worth at least trying out the first, I'd say, 2 episodes. Because episode 1, they structured it in a very good way to give you a sample of what's to come. But you really need to do the traditional 3-episode sampler to really get the impact. It's
Okay. What's it called one more time?
Chef's kiss.
To be fair with that one, unlike other isekai protagonists, this guy actually matured into well up in the ages before getting isekai'd. So I think that right there has a lot to do with it.
He was an old man. He was a day away from retirement. That's basically the trope that they pull there. I was screaming it throughout the entire second half of the first episode. It's just like, he was 1 day from retirement.
It's kind of
so the full title, because of course it is based off a light novel, the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat.
As an aristocrat. Okay, hey, get your money.
Yeah.
I've had that on my radar, to be honest, but I was hesitant because as much as I love isekai and stuff, it was like, I don't know if this would be up my alley or whatnot. Plus trying to catch up on other shows. And then I fell down the rabbit hole of I'd seen somebody post a picture on one of the Facebook anime sites of a guy kissing a gorilla. And I'm like, what the hell anime is this from? And the show is called The Fruit of Evolution. Before I knew it, my life had it made. And this one is
light
a little
novel.
bit a little light novel, yep. And this one took my interest because, yes, the main male protagonist gets isekai'd and eventually, and I use the word eventually, becomes OP. But the main male character, he wasn't the only one isekai'd. His entire school got moved to another world to train to defeat a demon lord. Everybody got sucked away except for him out of his classroom. He sits there and the voice of a god, and I use quotations for that. I'll move over here so people can see it behind Yuna. Says, "Oh, you're still here? I'll give you an extra power." And he gets summoned into the same world as everybody else, but in a different location. He is fat, stinky, unattractive, low self-esteem, basically like the anti-protagonist that you would think of going to another world and getting a harem or whatnot. And it shows him, okay, I've been here for 4 days. I've barely eaten anything. He's trying to reach for a bug crawling on the ground just to get some sort of food in. He gets run over by monkeys, ends up killing a monkey using his body odor.
Killing.
Keeps this monkey using body odor, takes the fruit the monkey has and eats it, and it turns into the fruit of evolution. And through eating this fruit and beating people. Again, it's a very video game style of levels. You know, you defeat monster, you get treasure and special abilities and stuff of that nature. But the interesting side of things was you had to wait, and the spoiler alert, episode 2, you see him kiss a gorilla. But the gorilla, as she's dying, then transforms into a beautiful girl. But there's story that developed between him and the gorilla, where he was complete like, you're a gorilla, you're nasty, blah blah blah, like completely rude and obnoxious. Even though this gorilla fell in love with him because he was so strong and could withstand attacks and stuff. It was the ridiculous concept of all this. And you see, and it took 2 episodes to watch him transform to get to like the level 10 of the Fruit of Evolution.
Wow.
And it was different because you're seeing things that a lot of isekai kind of avoided. I mean, I know like Slime had a lot of monsters, things like that, and you got to see a lot of different types of monsters interacting together. But here you're showing like a human who's trying to make a name for him. Trying to make a name for himself, trying to just survive, and now he's captured by the king of gorillas or the queen of gorillas. You know, calling him you stupid gorilla, and the gorilla will answer back, "I'm not a gorilla, I'm Saria." You know, he's like, "Why do you have the name of a beautiful girl?" "He thinks I'm a beautiful girl." It was just like, oh my god, this is so stupid. I have to see what happens next. And my wife, who is completely turned off to isekai, I told her a little bit about it, and now she's watching it.
Oh my!
I don't even want to talk about when they finally got to the capital city and they went to the guild, the stuff they saw there. I'm going to leave that for you guys to check out, because I recommend watching it as long as you're not, frightened of some things.
Well, don't forget, there's a lot of references to quite a few other shows, and that's one of the reasons I sent that one your way.
It's been highly entertaining. There's no like dramatic Zombieland Saga death, nobody hit by a truck in a theatrical performance that you'll see on Broadway in 5 years. I'm waiting for it. I swear, you're gonna see the next live action movie, Truck-kun. And just the ridiculousness of this show is really what kind of makes it refreshing to me, because it's so different with the subject matters that you see and the stuff that the main hero like walks in on. And you can see, okay, this looks like, after like 5 episodes, it has the makings of a harem anime, even though there's only 2 main females that are with the main protagonist. But you just can see, if more women get into this main group,
full-blown harem.
You're going to be looking at a harem anime.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, I'm kind of waiting for that. When you watch enough anime, for you newbies out there, when you start watching enough anime, you're going to be able to predict what's going to happen in these shows. Even though it's maybe completely something different from what you've seen, deep down inside, either A, B, or C is going to happen. And when it happens, you're going to be like, I called it.
Yeah. I refuse to believe that these creators don't do drugs. It's like, there's some wild concepts that I can't really think about in just my normal day-to-day, And I got apple juice and some brandy going on, right? I'm like, wow, kill a gorilla with your body stench. Wow. Okay. Hey,
I'm not the only one on the alcohol train. I got eggnog and rumplements.
Hey,
holidays
happy holidays. We got the Mariah Carey blasting. We've got the eggnog going. All right, you are good to go.
Mariah Carey.
It turned to a holiday special all of a sudden.
There you go.
Up here in New York State, we have Stewart's, and Stewart's has eggnog all year round.
Oh, wow.
They make their own eggnog, and you can get it year round. So it's like, to me, it's not a Christmas thing. I'm just happy Hood's back making their eggnog now. But I'm like, you know what? I need something to drink.
I gotta try that because I do love some eggnog, but I keep it just to November, December time. So yeah, that's hey.
But
Cheers.
but
still, what a crazy concept! Like these, at least these isekai, they have interesting premises, right? It's not the same old. I mean,
I'm still waiting for the vending machine light novel to get turned into an anime. I'm waiting for. It's coming. Some studio's gonna be like, that guy's gonna get.
Money.
He got isekai into a vending machine that can spit out anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we want that. Darren, has that been made yet?
I was gonna say there's a couple of isekai that just sounded pretty outlandish that I know are getting anime adaptations. One of the I guess gets a least outlandish, and that I could also talk about on air. I'm very excited about. There's one coming out that is based on the premise of your traditional Sentai lead hero falling in love with a main villainess from one of these types of Super Sentai shows. That one's apparently getting an anime adaptation. I'm very excited for that one. I've seen a couple of panels from it, and I'm like, wow, this could be really fun. I hope it gets a show. And then lo and behold, it's getting a show. I think next year it's supposed to drop. Yeah.
I'd say one I was looking into. It's about a guy who gets reincarnated into another world, becomes the hero of that world, and then after dying gets reincarnated into his original world as a baby. And he retains his memories. And I think he retains his memories from both lives. I don't remember.
Interesting.
I mean, hats off for them to keep trying to come up with new ideas.
Yeah, they're creative. Like it doesn't feel stale. Like unless it was a bad show, but luckily there's plenty of like great shows out there. Even the bad shows have cool premises.
Except Conception.
Yeah, we publicly bash Conception on a regular basis on this show.
I gotta see what score it has on my anime list now.
It's like
it's probably like 3. 3 out of what? Like 100. My understanding is the game series that it was based off of is also kind of.
I don't know why we all felt the need, because Darren, my wife, and myself all have sat down and watched the entire series.
Wow.
My condolences.
And it was one of those things of, I don't know why I'm still watching this. Hopefully it gets better. The characters were kind of crap. The children that they ended up having were the weirdest looking things you've ever seen. It's a show like that, knowing that it was based off a game, was like, I never want to play the game if it looks anything like this show. And Godswill, and your point, what were they on when they created this?
Facts, right?
I want
like,
my money
this
back.
looks great. Put it out, like nobody was like, hey, wait a second, guys, maybe we should hold off on this, or maybe we should, maybe like start back again. It doesn't look that great. The concept doesn't make too much sense. Even the game tie-ins don't make too much sense. But hey, put it out. We got to go.
We've even had some of the voice actors from that show say they didn't want to talk about it. They're like, well, it was a paying job.
Hey, like,
and we're not going to say any names or anything like that, because a lot of times, we'll ask some questions off air just to get feelers of what the voice actors want to and don't want to talk about. And
yeah.
Then there's always cases like Interspecies Reviewers where certain people got to record the first episode, started dubbing episodes 2 and 3 before it got pulled out of Funimation and off of some of the Japanese TV as well, which, in all honesty, it breaks my heart because I thought the series was fantastic. I can understand the fact that, from Funimation's point of view, they looked at the manga and the anime was different from what the manga portrayed. A lot different, a lot more crude, which is why they were like, no, this is not what we signed up for. Yeah. We can't do this. but yet they can put out, redo of Healer and some of the other questionable content that has been put out since. So I really think Interspecies Reviewers kind of got screwed in that.
Screwed, unfortunately. So I think they should have had the balls, just been like, hey, we have other adult shows.
Pretty much.
Right, put it out there, right?
We put out Girls Bravo. This is nothing,
Yeah, it's like, come on. We had the whole Funimation Peep Show highlighting like everything that we've put out that
Yeah.
is pretty
Wow.
raunchy. Let's,
That is a panel name I've not heard in a minute.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, man.
Back in my
Yeah.
day, we used to have a panel called the Peep Show. It was a late night show, and we
That's an
showed all
80s
types of.
show.
It's like,
Oh,
y'all
okay.
were leaning into that at the time.
Screw it, like lean into it. It's like the fan base is getting older and less reverent. Why not, right? So yeah, I think it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, right?
Pulling a complete 180, going from this kind of stuff to something unbelievably wholesome. Have y'all watched Comey Can't Communicate?
I read it. I haven't. It's out now.
Oh,
I haven't-
yeah.
Hey,
I
I
haven't
gotta watch it.
started it.
I have
Two-
not started that yet.
Two big surprises about that one. First off, they went hard with the production value of this show. Like, Godswill, you've read the original comic. I remember seeing like some, just random panels from it, like on Instagram when the hype was starting to build. I'm like, oh, this looks kind of silly and cute. All right. Started seeing the previews of the anime. I'm like, they put some budget into this. And watching the actual show, I said it just this Friday when I was just screeching about the most recent released episode. This show has no business being as good as it is. I know that it was highly anticipated. I know that it's, a quality story, but I still can't believe just how much they swung for the fences on this. And more importantly, it's a Netflix anime that is being released on a weekly basis.
Wow, on Netflix.
Yeah, it's not a Netflix jail. They're straight, like they delayed it by like 3 weeks from the Japanese television broadcast, but still, like for Netflix, that's basically like a simuldub.
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
impressive.
That's probably why I haven't watched it. I haven't turned on Netflix in months.
This one is definitely a must see. The first episode, there's a scene towards the end of it. But first off, it's beautifully animated. It's at a chalkboard. You see the specks of chalk residue coming off of the chalkboard, and the scene itself, it's just a beautiful scene. Like, you will get emotional. It's one of those that's like,
wow,
oh, my feels. My feels.
Wow.
Cannot speak highly enough of it. It is definitely well worth the time. 3 episodes out so far on Netflix, and like I said, it's weekly, or you could wait till it's all out and just binge it. I don't think that will be a problem. It's wholesome enough that I think it's one you could probably watch with the kids. Like, I had seen some previews that gets a little PG, and they did bump up the rating from TVG in episode 1, where literally nothing offensive happens to PG moving forward, because there were like 1 or 2 lines there. It's like, okay, yeah, you're not flying by on a PG on just a G rating. Like, that is a hard PG.
It is
right
a high school, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still like very, very fun, very wholesome, very family friendly. Unless they pull a hard left, which I don't think they do, right, Godswill? Like, it's
at least as far as I've read. Like, I haven't read everything, but like, yeah, it was nice. I mean, it's like I was all about making friends as a shy person. So, I you got my attention with it, because I was like, oh, I read it. I don't need to watch it, but maybe I think I need to spend some time with it. I feel like I'm finally getting back into the seasonal watching habits, because one thing that I am a little sad that I let lapse was the seasonal watching. I got too overwhelmed, and I was like, oh, there's just so many shows I got to watch. But this season has convinced me to get back into that.
Good. And on the wholesome note, there's a anime that is Wholesome the Anime that just got confirmed for a 2nd season, and I cannot wait for.
Which?
Tonikawa Over the Moon for You.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
This household has mixed reviews. I loved it. My wife thinks that it's a waste that they're getting a 2nd season.
Oh, dang.
I thought it was fantastic. Like Darren said, it's wholesome, the anime. It's I think, like, in my wife's point of view, she was looking at like things were moving way too slow. Things are a little too awkward, and she wants a little bit more adventure. Like, she likes some of the more crazier style animes, which that's why they have so many different style. Everybody's got different tastes. I loved it. Another anime that's airing right now. I watched the whole 1st season. She lost interest partway through the 1st season, and I had no clue I was getting a season 2 until like I think earlier this year, shortly before this season stuff was coming out, when I saw a Restaurant to Another World. You talk about the strangest and like dumbest concept and turn it into, in my opinion, a fantastic anime showing people accepting their differences but being united in one place. And it's kind of like and for those who haven't seen it, Restaurant to Another World is basically an anime about a restaurant in like on Earth that has a door that opens every Saturday to other worlds. And you see creatures of all races, all types come through with confusion, bewilderment, wondering where they have turned up. And then they realize, okay, I'm at a restaurant. Let me try the food. The food's delicious. He's got a demon girl who's a waitress. He's got an elf who doesn't speak and uses telepathy as a waitress. And season 1, I was like, that's pretty good. I never thought it would get a season 2. Season 2 came out. I got sucked right back into this anime. And it's basically an anime that shows you some background story of all walks of life. Everything from the poor to the hunted to nobles to elves who are hiding from people because, they're banished from their countries or whatnot. And they find this store and they find reprieve, and it's all different types of food. And it's another one of those food wars types things where everything looks freaking amazing that they make. Food in real life never looks as good as food in anime. I'm sure we all can agree on that.
Yeah.
Sorry about muting your mic there, Darren. Your background was getting pretty bad.
Really? I'm not even doing anything.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of feedback on your side.
That's weird.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were just talking about that show on Friday. And yeah, that's one of those that I haven't seen it, but I know that, as you pointed out, the food in that show, it's on that list of, hey, do you want some really good looking anime food? Restaurant to Another World.
Nice.
And plot-wise, they were talking about some of the developments from this particular season. Apparently there's one episode centering on Romeo and Juliet, but they're vampires, something like that. Is that correct, Doug?
I think there was one. I'm trying to remember. I think there was one. There was an episode that centered around, nobles who are like, oh, stay away from that particular part of the castle because a witch lives there. And it turns out the witch is actually an elf who uses magic, who is these children's like aunt. And they break into her room. They start eating her pudding, which came from this other world. So as punishment, and I say as punishment, she brings them on the day of Saturn to the restaurant for them to try the food. And, it's bringing a family together. Somebody who was banished away, now it's bringing, people together over food. It's basically an anime of like Thanksgiving every Saturday where you have families and friends and even people you may not really know coming together and conversing with each other over food.
Wow.
So it's very wholesome. It literally, like, I'd have to go back and rewatch the first season again, but from everything I've seen in season 2, I would let my 9-year-old watch it.
Nice.
And the 4-year-old would probably sit through and enjoy it. I mean, she loved Sergeant Frog, so
Nice.
We're raising the kids right, Godswill.
We're doing it. I have hope. I think, like, I was worried about the kids, but I think, like, I have hope now. I'm having some hope.
When Evie, my 4-year-old, on the daily asked for 2 Japanese songs, the openings for Dragon Maid Season 1 and Dragon Maid Season 2.
Wow.
Every day she wants to hear those songs because she loves them. And Show by Rock Mashimaresh yell in response. She loves those songs. Those are the ones she wants to hear.
Oh, that's so nice.
Forget all this music that we have on the radio here in the U.S. She wants to hear some Japanese songs.
Hey.
It's like, yeah, we're weebs. Sorry.
The kids are gonna be all right.
She's gonna go to
For
school
real.
talking about baby metal. Everybody else gonna be talking about Usher, and I'm not even sure who else is popular now.
Usher.
Because
If they're talking about Usher, I'll be a little happy.
I don't even know who's on the radio now because I
Yeah, I don't know what's
listen
on
to
the
YouTube
radio these
stuff.
days, but hey.
Same here.
I have XM satellite radio. I listen to pop rock, so pop and rock songs from the 90s and 2000s. I listen to the 80s and I listen to the 60s.
Hey.
Nice eclectic. Nice variation.
I've been doing a mix of oldies, country, classic rock lately. So I'm right there with you because a lot of the new stuff coming out nowadays, just no.
Yeah, it doesn't hit as
Ja-
much as it did.
Japanese, yes. American, no.
Yeah, I've been binging on a lot of lo-fi beats. It honestly has been like very helpful, especially during some of my off days where I'm taking a break, just shutting out social media, just kicking back before I throw myself back into the freelance life. It's like, okay, throw on the lo-fi, everything is good. Actually, right before we went live, I was just finishing up some work. I had some lo-fi beats to code to
Nice.
from this one channel I've been listening to a lot. So yeah, that should say a lot about the state of American Top 40 right now. It's just like y'all are losing to some stuff I'm putting on YouTube, which is mostly just open license music.
Yeah, right.
Some of which are like from Game Chops. Like, let's be real here.
Right.
And let's be honest, because there are so many like indie and unknown bands who have put out some amazing music that most people will never hear unless you know where to find them.
Yeah, true. It's very interesting to see how people are finding music these days, especially like with the rise of TikTok. I mean, it's like the TikTok, whatever goes on TikTok goes viral. That's just like the new like song of the week. Honestly, it's no really longer about like what's on the radio as much. It's about what's on TikTok. I mean, I've even gotten a few. I've gotten a few like really cool mixes from TikTok. Funny enough, and I hate to say that, but yeah, that's sort of truth. For me, I've been listening to more jazz music, a lot more old school hip hop. Definitely a lot of anime openings and endings. What else? And then yeah, just like whatever sounds great, so and it's a big mixed in like what it used to be, especially before Corona.
And you know an app has really taken off when XM satellite radio has a TikTok channel. It's all songs you can find on TikTok. They play on this channel.
That's smart. That's cool. That's wise of them. You got to stick with the times, or else you're gonna get left behind, right?
And I gotta say, TikTok has been a very interesting platform to watch evolve. Like at first, I had my hesitations about it because it felt very much like Vine 2.0
Yeah,
or 3.0 if we're counting Snapchat and or Instagram stories. But the thing that really just kind of made it pop for me, this is the weirdest thing, but it's very on brand for how I roll. If you follow the pillars of my production brand, of all things, it was a live stream of a Mexican wrestling pay-per-view. AAA was putting out their equivalent of WrestleMania on TikTok, so people could watch their equivalent to WrestleMania on TikTok. And I'm like, that is a show of confidence for a platform when you can basically put this annual event that you really invest in financially on this platform for free, because you know that it's going to generate a return in terms of interest and accessibility. So in there, because it's one of those things that made me really, really kind of say, it made me embrace TikTok. Like I was starting to use it over the course of especially this specific year. Started moving some more of our content onto TikTok, mostly just clips from our nightly game streams or other content and whatnot, or using it as like a quick reminder that, hey, we've got our monthly recap video coming up, cool, whatever. But that for me was the moment that I was just like, all right, there's something here. There really is something here.
Yeah,
It was wild.
smart. You got to be with the times. You get left behind. And the times are moving faster than ever these days, right? Social media. I mean, whatever is trending this weekend is going to be different than what trends last week. And I mean, like I was right there with you. I was ready for TikTok to die. And then, funny enough, through COVID, it just blossomed and bloomed.
Yeah.
And here it
And
is
now. Everybody's on there.
Absolutely, it's a beast that you can't ignore. Like no matter how old you are, I mean, you see like old people doing TikTok dances. That's when you know officially that it's viral, right?
Yeah.
My friend keeps hounding me to get TikTok because I still don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, at least like you can have your friend just like even share, right? Just share TikTok videos, and you'll see like how addicted it can be just to watch those, right?
My wife is addicted to it, something fierce, and I'll be at work and I'll get like 6 messages from her. It's different videos of, oh, you got to check this one out. You got to look at one of the fun ones, and I don't watch TikTok hardly at all.
Mm-hmm.
But she sent me a video and she goes, the girl at the end. I'm like, okay. And, I knew the song because it was, I forget the name. I don't really know the name of the song, but I know the song is like, wow, you can really dance.
Yeah, that one.
He's laughing. He knows the song. So,
yeah, right. I mean,
and they're doing, and it's a bunch of cosplayers doing this weird dance, and it goes down the line. It's like 4 different cosplayers, and it ends on Morgan Berry.
I'm
like, wait, what? Morgan Berry is in a TikTok?
Yeah, everybody.
And then you look, Jeremy Lee's got her own TikTok. It was like Howie Mandel's got a TikTok.
Wow.
A lot of actors have TikToks, and they show some of their personal lives and goofy stuff they do at home. And it's kind of a new way. And I'm always like late to board any train when it comes to social media and stuff like that. When Facebook was booming, I was still on
MySpace.
MySpace, thank you. I was still on MySpace,
Yay, Tom still had friends then.
As cell phones were becoming popular, I refused to even get a pager, I only had a pager because I was on call for driving tow truck type of deal. So I'm not like the most technologically savvy. I'm still very old school in a lot of ways, and
hey, as long as you join in, like eventually, right? Like as long as you're like not like, I feel like it's fine as long as you're not like even like if your wife was to send you something and you're gonna be like, I'm not watching it because of whatever arbitrary reason, right? At least that's my opinion, It was like
I'll still watch them when I remember, but like at
of
work,
course, you don't have to be
phone,
addicted like the rest of us, right? But at least like aware of like what's happening, right?
And at the same point, I don't have to get addicted to it if I can find people who want to work with the show, and then start doing AZR related TikTok that I don't have to concern myself with. Just put it out there, we'll get popular, and there we go.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. At least at least to also like use the platform. You don't have to like succumb to the platform. Just at least
want to get a video of me looking like an ass. That's a daily thing. You just if you saw the pictures of us from AAC, I'm not afraid to look like an idiot.
Hey, that's crucial.
Then we just crop it for vertical and post.
Did you? I know that both of you we're all friends on Facebook. Did you see the pictures I had posted from AAC?
Have not. No.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure.
I have to find the photos here. I will send them to you of what we looked like. We dressed up in skeleton outfits with Minecraft painted heads and adult hippity hops for me, my wife, our friend Jeremy, and then we had a kid hippity hop for our daughter Evie. And we hopped around the convention on this with these Minecraft heads on that we made. The horses we had to paint them. They came brown. We had to paint them black, put the skeletons on them. It was a lot of work going into AAC to get that done. We became a meme because of that. Somebody put the AAC 2021 starter pack meme And they took a crop of 4 Minecraft skeletal riders, shrunk one down for my daughter, and put it out there. It's like we became a meme.
Wow.
Oh, this is awesome.
It's crazy also like who and what can become a meme these days, right? Sometimes it's just like the most genuine things just boom, blow up.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, man, as a 43-year-old on a hippity hop, you don't realize how out of shape you are until you ride one of those
Until you're
things
in it,
for
right?
5 minutes.
Whew.
After being on it for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours on Saturday,
You felt it.
I couldn't walk without pain until Wednesday or Thursday. I was still sore. I'm like, oh my God, it hurts to work.
Yikes.
Why do I live on a second floor? Oh.
What was I thinking?
But it was worth the pain. It was hysterical. Right now we have them in totes and storage waiting. I don't think we're going to pull them out for Anime Boston, but Kineticon is a definite.
Dope.
Just because of the differences between the two conventions and with how busy Anime Boston normally gets, it usually brings in a higher attendance than Kineticon.
Mm-hmm.
And literally the lack of visibility with those heads on. For safety reasons of ourselves and others, I didn't think it would be good for us to hippity hop around.
You're right.
Also,
even if it has a lower crowd density, when they come back, I still would not recommend that. That's a bad time waiting to happen.
Right.
On top of that, if you were to get pressed for Anime Boston, I don't think that would be a very comfortable interview.
Yeah, could you see me on a hippity hop? So tell me, what is it like to
So tell me, what is it like to? I'm over here. Oh, I'm sorry. So would you please tell me? Does that sound about right?
I'll tell you what we used for the heads. Because I work as a mechanic, we get boxes of shop rags in. They're the big yellow square boxes. It's like a 9x9. Basically, it's that we cut the bottoms out, put some foam in, cut holes out for the eyes, painted them all black, put grid pattern on them, painted them the different shades of gray for the Minecraft skeletons, and that's what we were wearing.
Beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, you guys send me that when you get a chance.
May not win any masquerades with that, but we are thinking of doing a death match at some point. I think it might do pretty good with that, especially if we can have Evie join us too.
Dope.
Yeah, win the hearts and minds of fellow attendees.
Absolutely.
Just root for us because of the 4-year-old. We'll go for the. We'll talk on the hard things.
Just say dirty trick. How dare?
It's like if it works, right?
No,
you're not wrong, Godswill. You're not wrong.
Now, jumping back into the convention side of things, and you were talking about some of the safety measures that were in place because of pandemic and stuff. I know for Kineticon, you had to have either proof of vaccination or a negative test within 24 or within 48 hours prior to the convention, or else you weren't allowed to attend, and you had to wear a mask at all times. AAC, you were required a mask, but they weren't as strict on the vaccination mandate or negative COVID test. What was some of the? I know, Mario, you said the masks were mandatory at New York Comic Con. Did they have the COVID restriction of needing the vaccinations or negative tests like Kineticon, or?
It was still very strictly enforced because here in New York City, we've been very strict about all sorts of events. That's part of why, I was comfortable going to that AEW show that I mentioned at Arthur Ashe Stadium, because I knew the way that not just that particular company had been handling COVID protocols, even when they were doing limited shows down in Jacksonville, but that in tandem with how New York City as a whole for, large event venues in particular had been very stringent on all sorts of requirements, I figured, okay, we'll have it together here. So I feel comfortable being in this large group of people. And a lot of that at an enhanced level was made available, and essentially the baseline over at New York Comic Con, which was part of why, I felt so safe, because it's like, okay, we're really like taking this seriously, but it's not putting a damper on the fun in fact, it's making it easier to have fun because I don't have to,
Be so
really worry as
concerned,
much.
too worried.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Godswill, what were your thoughts on that? Coming in from from outside, because
Yeah.
again, I've been kind of like in the New York bubble this whole time, going to New York events and being used to like that high level of protocol. So did it translate positively for you as well? Like, did it also help you like kind of relax being in these kinds of environments?
Yeah. Like luckily I had been to like quite a few other cons, and I feel everyone's taken it seriously. Been in Texas, Seattle, New York, where else? Yeah, I mean, yeah, quite a few, and like everything like has been very serious. I went to PAX, and you had to have your proof of vaccination. All the restaurants also were proof of vaccination. I like that New York takes it seriously. Dallas, the convention itself took it seriously. Like they're like you have to have a proof of vaccination and you have to wear your mask at all times. And I appreciate it. Like I haven't seen any cons be lax about it, at least the ones that I've gone to. So, um, like I sort of hope that like everyone maintains that. Like it'd be irresponsible otherwise. Like yes, like like having those requirements makes it easier to have fun, so that you're not stressed about that basic safety security.
And this is may sound a little bit rash or cruel towards some people, but I also think that it weans out, being that strict. We're all on social media. We all see people posting about conventions. I think it's stupid that they have this in place, blah, 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 blah. And I think it's a way of weaning out the negative influences, which helps to make these events a lot more fun because the people who go, took the initiative to make it so that they were safe enough to attend. They really want to be there. They really want to have fun. They're not there to ruin an experience for anybody else, which beforehand, I'm sure we all had con stories of those one or two people who just were
Too reckless, yeah.
Too reckless. Just they were there to basically be an energy vampire and suck the life out of the room.
Yeah.
Agents of chaos.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I do appreciate like weaning out of the people who weren't going to try to follow the rules or just sneak in or just just do whatever they wanted. I do appreciate that. Like we're not having to deal with these guys as much. So yeah, like it's been a fun time.
Now, Godswill, switch gears a little bit. This was a question that was posed to us a while back, and I had fun with it when it was asked to me. And this is a My Hero Academia related question. Mm-hmm. So get your mind into My Hero characters. I think Mario's laughing because I think I asked you this question when you were on with us last time. But one of our listeners one day asked me, "Why does everybody hate Deku so much?"
That's a great question. Like I feel like it's so unfair. Because they'll always point to like him crying, but it's not like he's like unwilling to do the action. You know what I mean? Like he's not unwilling to punch people out, even though he's crying about being empathetic to like a person's cause. Like he's willing to actually fight the bad guys. Like if it was like Vash Stampede, who's like, I don't want to fight, like that bothered me, but like it eventually came around, right? But no, I feel like it's just the first time that like a lot, like My Hero Academia is like so mainstream to the point that like people who've only seen the only anime that they've seen is probably like Dragon Ball Z, right? And they've only seen sort of chaotic, psychopathic people who just punch people out like on a daily, with without the responsibility of like a hero. I guess they're not used to seeing somebody like actually be like, hey, maybe it's sad that this person became a villain, but they're just so focused on that empathetic part and not really ever thinking about like Deku's actually like fighting people. I don't think it's fair. I feel like people are being very unfair to Deku, and maybe like also like the fan base, like they're like, oh, the fan base has made Deku so much more human. I guess I don't know. I don't really understand like why they hate Deku, and I think it's unfair.
Because I've always thought that was a fun question to ask because a lot of times they'll throw people off. Wait, what? Why do you think people hate Deku so much? My response to it, and Mario, I know I told you that when I responded to this question, I put it in a wrestling analogy. When you're looking at the good guy, and I grew up of wrestling in the early mid '80s, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Jimmy Snuka, stuff like that. When you saw people root for Hulk Hogan, not because he was there crying, worrying about his opponent's feelings and things of that nature. They rooted for him because he picked up Andre the Giant and body slammed him. If he came out being, this whiny little crybaby, Deku, I think, is too much of a puss. How many times has Uraka or the other people around him had to bail him out of things because he just couldn't do it? He let his emotions get the best of him. And eventually, I kind of got bored of the whole storyline. I didn't even make it through season 4.
How many times has he had people had to bail him out for fighting anybody else? I haven't seen him. I've seen him follow through with all his fights. Like, I feel like he's a true fighter. Like, he's always like gone through it. Like, he's even had his own solo fights and done a good job, I think.
Now, who is your favorite villain of the series? That's a good question. That throws you off.
Yeah, I gotta think about it.
Because mine is the schoolgirl, is it Toka or?
Oh yeah, a Toga.
Toga. Just because I thought she was cute. I'm like, I like her. She's kind of psychotic. She's kind of a cute character,
I will say
she's very popular.
Yeah, right. Yeah, very much.
You hit the nail on the head, or should I say the needle in the arm?
Yeah, right. I'll say that's a good one. My favorite villain of the franchise, I would honestly have to say, is from Vigilantes.
Ooh, right.
Vigilantes, the spinoff. I think that's a unsung gem. A hidden gem of the franchise that I think more people need to get into, and hopefully one day it'll have like an anime. But I like how the villain of Vigilantes like plays into the whole franchise. Like, you'll see like a lot of heroes, the pro heroes, like have to interact with this villain. But then also it does a good job of explaining heroes and like what they have to go through, like just sort of even day-to-day heroes like police and whatever, right? And then like seeing like the sort of mental fallout that they have to go through, and sort of a little sympathy of like, okay, they become a hero. But also, if you're talking about like the main franchise, probably Stain like brings up a great point of heroes shouldn't be heroes just for money or for fame, but like you really do this because you care about it. And he respects All Might because like he's such a genuine hero. Whereas he kills just heroes he thinks that like are just doing it for
money, fame,
clout.
and fortune.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean like OnlyFans?
That's different. I
mean, you got people. The original intent of it was started to be a creative outlet, kind of like Patreon, but just turned into a get rich quick scheme.
Hey, that's fine to get money however you can. I have no problems with OnlyFans people. It's like, get your money if people are willing to pay you for it. Sweet. But like for heroes, like it is different because also like there's other platforms you want to be, if you want to be creative, Patreon is still there. I donate to some Patreon or some YouTubers on Patreon because their work is so good, right? Humans in New York, I donate to them because I love like the concept of interviewing, strangers that like have great stories. But OnlyFans, sure, if someone wants to pay you because they will get to see you naked, get that money. And then but for like the fact of like heroes and like in My Hero Academia, the way I get it is because they were willing to like ignore like petty crimes or like helping out everybody, their duty, in order to just go for like the big dogs or like to do their jobs, the hero jobs, in a flashy way that might endanger other people versus like doing the best to save people and to make sure that like everybody is safe and secure as a hero should, right? At least that's the way I think about it.
Oh yeah, I even though I've lost interest in My Hero, I will never talk bad about it because hats off to the creator of My Hero for coming up with such an involved storyline that involves thousands and thousands of different quirks. I mean, the thought that went into creating this show and this manga is mind blowing if you really stop to think about it. Some animes that we watch as fans, you look at and go, they were on something. They thought it was funny. They made a book. It got popular. Pop Team Epic is prime example. It's just nonsense and stupidity, one episode after another after another.
Let's have fun,
But you
right?
know what? We love it because it's mindless entertainment. My Hero Academia is so complex, and there's so many underlying stories that most of us will never understand, that I don't even know if sometimes the creators fully understand the stories that they have developed, if that's what they were envisioning when they started creating the series. But it's a phenomenal series when you look at it at that standpoint. I just kind of got the feel of it almost started to feel like a fairy tale looping scenarios. Just, it looked like the same arc with different characters over and over and over again. And instead of like when you get used to watching shows in 12, 24 episode increments, you get one, maybe two seasons, and then it's over. You move on to the next show. And as these shows keep going and you see, an arc of a fight that could have been one episode, maybe two, is now 6 or 7 episodes. Somebody like me who doesn't have a ton of time to watch a long running series is going to lose interest because there's so many other shows out there to watch. And I think a lot of people fall into that category where if you have limited time, you'd rather invest your time in a show you can watch 12 episodes, be done, move on to the next thing, be entertained, and have a full understanding of what's going on, as opposed to a series that's going to be going on for a long period of time. I know Fairy Tail recently ended, but you've got shows that are still ongoing, variations of shows still ongoing that have been going for 600,000 episodes even.
One Piece coming up on that 1,000.
Excited. It's better than ever before.
And I've still only seen like exactly 3 episodes of the anime. There's a lot of it.
Jump
You've
into
seen
it.
more
It's
than I
worth
have.
it. It's worth it, y'all. Like, like on the opposite side of that, I think there is something great about these long running shows. It's like totally great if you only want to watch a 12 episode show. Absolutely. But it was like, I think there is something to be said about these long running shows that have ever evolving characters, in storylines that build upon each other. One Piece, I'm always going to sing its praises. Go watch it because like it is my favorite piece of media of all time, of books, video games, anime, movies, stories. I don't care. One Piece is the best. And like, even though it's on chapter 1031 at the moment, almost 1,000 episodes, I've never had a show that's made me laugh that hard, cry as much, and change my life. The way I act. So that's me.
And props off for them to keeping you enthralled for all that, especially considering all those filler episodes are planned prior to production.
It's not that much filler in One Piece, though.
I'm talking about in other long-running shows, but I can't really comment on One Piece. I haven't seen really any of it. I think my friend tried to show me years ago, or was that Hunter x Hunter? He tried to show me.
That's a great one too.
I've always said if I ever was gonna start to watch like One Piece, I probably wouldn't start from the beginning, knowing me.
Start from the beginning. Where else would you start?
I was gonna start at whatever episode Anthony Bowling picked up directing the English dub. Because I love his work that much that I would watch it just because he directed it. I literally have watched like 4 shows because he directed it, and have loved the work he's done.
All right. Okay. Well,
I am not normal. I will admit that.
I have to say, you watch
yeah.
enough of that, you get interested to see how the beginning was, and then you go back and start from the beginning.
Hey,
I
I
see. I
guess
got that
however
covered.
yeah, however you do it, I guess, right? I would say just do it. I would say go from the beginning. Don't skip anything. But hey, yeah.
I'm not
For,
gonna
for,
lie.
for me, I actually have the first the first volume of One Piece in manga form. It was a gift from the children of some Japanese neighbors I had many years
Wow.
ago. Like they
Oh,
just
wow.
gave it as a gift because they were like, "Oh, you're into anime? Yeah, here's a gift." You know,
That's
oh,
nice.
thanks. So I've definitely seen the beginning in written form, and then I just kind of watched the episodes that were, I think they were technically filler episodes because there was no way that this was in the original manga. They were some of the Chopper Man episodes, specifically the wrestling one, because that one features legendary Japanese wrestler Minoru Suzuki, who is a noted One Piece fan to the point he has like the devil's fruit shaved into his head at various points in his career. Like the man loves One Piece, and he was in One Piece as himself. that's the only like bit of the One Piece anime I've really seen, aside from like that one short that was it was featured before one of the movies. It was like this big dance party. I forget what the name of that short is, but like I've seen that. I've probably seen like a scattered episode or two, but like specifically ones I've gone out of my way for, and I can confidently say I watched this episode of One Piece. It was the Chopper Man wrestling one because Minoru
Nice.
Suzuki.
Nice.
Because I am filthy wrestling trash and I love it.
You know, it's good stuff for real. Yo, well, thank you guys so much for having me. I got a dip right now, but this was a wonderful talk, and I really appreciate you guys bringing me on again. And it was wonderful to see you again, Mario, and see you, Doug.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, pleasure getting to speak to you and, you know, getting to scream about anime with you for a while. Are you going to be rolling in for NYC?
I'm hoping to. So yeah, I plan to at the moment, and if everything goes well, then I should be there.
Rock and roll. So yeah, hopefully I will be seeing you over at the booth if you do make it out.
Awesome.
And
I'll swing on by.
And the rare view of Darren finally gets the camera on.
Hey.
My God, face reveal. Well, you can't be a VTuber now. You've already just ruined the mystique. I'm sorry.
I have to say, I think they might have been getting tired of Zenobia. I don't know.
Who knows? Could you ever get tired of Zenobia, though?
No, I couldn't.
That's like being tired of Rias. I don't think it's going to happen.
You were very right.
Or Ilulu, in that case.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. And I hope you guys have a great show. And I hope to see you guys in person very soon.
Hopefully at some point we'll be able to be at the same con. Like I said, even though I live in New York State, unfortunately, Anime NYC is not feasible financially for us this year. Maybe in the future.
Oh, good. Well, hey, hope to see you guys around soon.
Maybe we can get you to Anime Boston.
Hopefully, yeah. I got to see. Hopefully, that would be awesome if I can come through for that.
I will be there for 2022. We're trying to talk Darren into coming up for 2022 as well.
Hey, hopefully, let me know.
I have to say, and please come down to Raleigh again. I miss seeing you at Anime-Zing.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I would love to. Yeah, just got to see what the companies will let me do, or, maybe I just got to come through myself. So yeah, sounds like a fun.
Hey, I got an empty room over here.
Hey, all right.
Party at Darren's.
Hey, let's go.
No
all right.
too expensive hotel. You got this.
All right, you guys have a good one.
You too.
Nice.
Thanks for joining us.
Peace.
And everybody, that was Godswill Ugga Jr. Big thank you to him for hanging out with us tonight. Great to finally get a chance to see him face to face. He's been a guest on the show in the past, but up until August, we didn't have video, so a lot of times we didn't know what each other looked like. Mario and I had met in person at Anime Boston one year. That's how we started talking and made that instant connection of, you're cool. Let's just chat for like 45 minutes, even though I'm supposed to be working at this table. And I still felt bad.
I was still doing my job. It's cool. I am engaging with anime fans and potential customers. Let's keep talking about anime. We're good. We're good.
And it's been a fun show. And like I said, this is our first show back since before Halloween. And we took that break in. I want to get a little bit serious here for a minute because this week I posted something on social media of something that I personally had been dealing with, but kept secret for over a year and a half from everybody, including family, including my wife, where I have been dealing with depression for a long time. And finally, it got to the point where to prevent myself from spiraling down a rabbit hole, I wanted to get it out there. And, for our fans out there, I know I'm not the only one that deals with depression on a regular basis, but I want you to know that if you are dealing with it, you need somebody to talk to, and you want to talk to somebody who's also has experience with that. Feel free to reach out to me at any time on social media. Even though I'm not supposed to have my phone on me at work, I still check it on a regular basis. I'm not afraid to reach back out and talk with you about things going on. The love and support that people showed me when I finally came through with that. 'Cause even my family didn't know. My wife didn't know until about a week before I posted that publicly. So it's I don't know what the root cause was. I want to say partial pandemic, but I'm not going to blame the pandemic solely on the depression coming back, something I've dealt with on and off since I was like 19 years old. So, and in this community, in the anime community, a lot of us turn to video games, anime, some sort of entertainment to escape the issues that we have in our lives. It helps us to overcome depression or social anxiety or things of that nature. And, when it got taken away, it really triggered a lot of panic buttons in a lot of people. But I want to make it known that I have been dealing with that. I know I've talked in the past about thinking of, ending the show, including the holiday season last year. I almost ended everything because of dealing with depression, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of, negative thoughts going through the head. And it's not the easiest thing to come out and talk about. It's definitely something that's been really difficult, something I've had to overcome, the fear of being like, I have to realize I am suffering from depression, which is the first step of overcoming it. B, it's like, okay, now I need to get it out there. So if people see me acting differently, they know it's something that I'm dealing with. It's nothing that they have done per se. And, anybody who's dealt with depression, I know, Darren, you said you haven't dealt with depression yourself personally, but you probably know people who have. I don't know, Mario, if you've dealt with depression in your lifetime or not, but it's a tough thing to overcome.
Yeah. Actually, the break that I took in September, that was a mental wellness break, because I'd been dealing with chronic burnout for a long time. And burnout in and of itself, it's kind of a cocktail of some of the nastiest bits of mental health issues, just kind of put together. And it's something that it's really hard to combat in and of itself. And yeah, no, I talked about it during Digital Era Entertainment's 18th birthday stream, because that was one of the last things I was doing for basically a month's time, and it was a little strange to be talking about, in a live broadcast, because I'm not normally one to talk about those kinds of issues. But it was one of those things that, like you said, it is important to get out there. It's very refreshing to see much better acceptance of mental health issues. I've known plenty of friends who have had very severe mental health issues and have had to get treatment for it, and it's really upsetting what options are available for certain levels of mental health treatment, especially here in the States. So since there is, an increased awareness and a push to really, normalize a certain level of care, especially, in mainstream health care, it is a very important thing, and it's nice that it's a lot easier for people to talk about and share their experiences with. And ideally, we'll start to see a lot more revisions to how mental health is treated in mainstream healthcare, because it really is something that has just kind of really been overlooked. And it's wonderful that we're now at a point where people can have that support that they need. not have to feel any sort of stigma. It never should have been a stigma.
Yeah.
So that's I could keep soapboxing. I'm going to hold it back there, but the TLDR is I get it. I empathize, and I completely agree that yes, it is an important thing to get out there and let people know, hey, it's okay. Yeah, you just gotta talk sometimes.
And for somebody like me who talks a lot for the radio show and things like that, I usually I have the bad habit of self-care is my last option. And like I've always been a giver, not so much a self-centered person of I need to focus on making myself happy. I've always focused on everybody around me. Like in my life, my priorities are my wife and kids, and then me. And a lot of times I just neglect me to make sure that I'm providing enough to make sure everybody else is taken care of and things like that. And I know I'm not the only one who does that. There's a lot of people out there. And I just, I guess I debated even through most of the show whether or not to talk about this. And as Mario said, it's not something that when you're dealing with it is when it's the toughest to admit it. And somebody like me who's been dealing with it for more than half of my life, I've gotten really good at hiding it. So like Darren, you said you had no clue. My wife, who I've been married to for 5 years, had no idea I was suffering from depression because I wasn't letting it show until I was by myself. Or the thoughts going through my head, I would not let anybody know what was going on. So you just don't know who's dealing with that stuff. And you don't know what's going to trigger them to have a good or bad day. So, like I said, the important message we're trying to say is there are others. If you're dealing with this, you're not alone. There are others out there, like us, that you can always turn to if you need to talk to somebody about something. If you want somebody who has no idea about the situation you're going through, but you just need to vent, there are people that are there for you. I mean, everybody's going to be like, you need to go see a therapist, go see a doctor, but there are friends and family and, people on your social media who are willing to lend an ear and just listen to what you have to say just because they know it's going to make you feel better to get it off your chest. So I know we kind of took a really serious turn here on the show, which usually I keep it fun, light and whatnot, but I wanted to get it out there that I have been dealing with stuff. It's been going on for a long time. So if any of the shows I have not seemed like myself, that's really what's been going on. And sometimes that internal battle just becomes too great and you have to just, let the lid off the pressure to, make things feel a little bit better after a bit. As Darren yawns.
Hey, at least I'm awake.
That is true.
That is true. But
man, it's a show of miracles. We have Darren awake, giving us a face reveal.
Yeah.
Just not with an actual setup, just with my phone. I will get a setup eventually.
That's okay. We all have to start somewhere. I don't have the greatest of setups right now either. Like I've told you, Darren, I don't even have a video card in my computer. So I can't, talking about games and stuff, I really can't play games on the computer. That's why I have a Switch.
I need to consider getting a Switch because I'm hyped for Shining. Let's see, is Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl?
You should get the Switch. You should get Minecraft. We can all play Minecraft together.
That's true.
We can play Animal Crossing together. We can go to each other's islands. You can play Among Us on the Switch, even though that's kind of boring to me. Once I learned that you can be on Discord and chat throughout the stuff, that made those meetings so much funner to watch of the people just talking rather than you get to type 3 words before it's time to vote.
We've been having a field day with what is essentially hide and seek. That's actually become our weekly happy hour over on our Twitch channel. Every Friday, 30 minutes after the anime podcast is done, we just open it up. It's like, hey, pop on in for some Among Us. We're going to do, well, we refer to it as murder time because that's basically what it boils down to. You know, the imposter, we know who they are from the start. Everyone just has to go do their tasks as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you're getting tagged. It's led to some amazing moments that we've captured for our Twitch channel, but there's supposed to be an official hide and seek mode being implemented sometime in the near future. So we're waiting for that. But until then, if you have to just kind of do it yourselves, it's a great way to go. It's what's kept the game fresh and fun for us weekly since literally New Year's Day. We've been doing it every Friday since New Year's Day, and it's never boring, because if you do hide and seek, it's just wild, especially if you have a very large and spirited bunch. It's just it's a time.
and I'll have to send you links to some of the modded Among Us stuff that I've seen. Like I think it's Loaf makes some of them. I forget all the people who create these from the main YouTubers that I watch, but they had like a Burger King mod made. They had the Karen mod, where she would yell at you. She would she would like throw coffee in your face and you die from the hot coffee. They've had like they've had different like comic roles, different superhero roles mods made. Like I said, they had a My Hero Academia where the imposter was All Might, and you were everybody else was dressed up as a different character from My Hero.
Detroit smashed someone's head off. I love it.
It was hysterical because half of the people in the lobby didn't watch anime, so they had no clue what was going on, like who they were.
No.
Like one I think Sunday, and for those of you who want to see the video, his channel is capital S lowercase s UNDY DAY. So it's S Sunday, and he is playing as Deku. He's like, I have no idea who I am. What is this room? Who would have a room like this? And the anime fans are like, that's your room. You're Deku. You're the whiny one who has this room. Oh my God, it's the ultimate fanboy. Why do I have this room? Like, he had no clue. It was hysterical.
I bet he went and watched My Hero Academia right after.
I don't know if he did or not. I mean, he is a very well-known, like he's a popular YouTuber. He's got a ton of subscribers. I think, I don't even know how many subscribers he has. I'm almost afraid to look.
Really quickly, while y'all were talking about Twitch, has anyone really tried anything like when Twitch did Twitch Plays Pokemon? Have they tried that with any other games, or did that just kind of was that a fad that just kind of phased out after Pokemon?
I'm like 90% certain that was just kind of a one-off, a legendary one-off, but a one-off nonetheless. Yeah, to my knowledge, I've not heard of anything following in that since.
And Sunday has 19.3 million subscribers.
Yeah, that checks out.
So yeah, he's a popular guy.
I have to say, it checks out in more ways than one.
I would love to get him on the show because I've really enjoyed a lot of videos he does. He does a lot of Minecraft stuff as well. He's the big group of them have been together for like, they have a series that they've run called Insane Craft. And it's like thousands of mods put in together by Sparks Universe. And then they also were a part of Camp Minecraft was another one that he was a part of on and off. And it's just like an ongoing, like Insane Craft has been going on, I want to say, at least 6 to 8 months. Weekly, they're putting up 1 to 2 videos. And I'm watching multiple angles. Like I'm watching probably there might be 6 main people that are still playing it now of like the 10 or 15 that started. And I'm subscribed to like all of them.
Jeez.
It's like a video game soap opera. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculously addicting watching it from the beginning to see where it's gone. And some people are like, I can't even keep up with this. They ducked out a long time ago.
So weirdly, to kind of take this line of thought and then somehow loop it back to anime and all the things that we do collectively here. One of the more recent things, since we're talking about, big YouTubers playing games and just watching the insanity that has come from that, have you heard about the recent indie game, Poppy Playtime?
No.
Okay, it's a Five Nights at Freddy's style. Oh, there we go. It's a Five Nights at Freddy's style horror game made by an independent team that apparently got their start doing basically Five Nights at Freddy's machinimas and what have you independently. They got really successful, so they spun it into doing their own indie horror game. It's going to be an episodic thing. Episode 1 dropped sometime last month, I think. Picked up by Markiplier and other major gaming YouTubers, and it's been all over the place. I even saw a Game Theory episode about this game. It's only been out a month. The reason I bring this up is because one of my other cohorts on the podcast, who is I can now canonically say the voice of Digital Era Entertainment, because since she started contributing to our stuff back in 2018. If you watch any of our YouTube videos, she's the voice you hear on the end bumper every single video. Franji, she is in this game, and it was wild because one of my cohorts sent me a thing. He's just like, dude, I think Franji's in this game that was just featured by Markiplier. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go and I look at the credits, and I'm like, that's Franji. She's in this game. What? And she didn't even realize this had just blown up into a thing overnight. And just on Friday, we featured it on the channel before we did our weekly podcast. This same teammate who made the call about like, hey, I think Franji was in this game, brought her on, and they did a playthrough of the episode, and it's wild. Absolutely wild. This group of YouTubers who were doing FNAF machinima made their own FNAF clone, and it's now just all over. And we have a weird connection to it.
That's awesome.
It blows my mind.
Oh, I'm sure.
So yeah, so like I said, somehow all comes back to anime because Franji, she's originally from Boston. And I met her doing Anime Boston. In fact, I helped her propose to her now wife at the Anime Boston Masquerade. That was like one of my proudest moments. And here she is in this indie game that suddenly just took off and is probably going to have a long and storied history in terms of horror indie gaming if the rest of the story continues to have like this kind of appeal that episode 1 has. It's wild.
Interesting. Congratulations to Franji for the success. An announcement that actually I noticed just before coming on the show, Marissa Lenti had an announcement that she is in Smash Legends voicing Octavia.
Ooh.
So new edition. That was I saw that. I think she posted like 3 hours before the start of the show.
Nice.
Congrats to Marissa. Congrats, Marissa Lenti, on the success of being in another video game. And, I mean, we're supporting Marissa right here with Yuna.
There we go.
The voice of Yuna, who at some point I will cosplay. Maybe Anime Boston, maybe not. Depends on... I told my wife to focus on the cosplay she wants to do, because she wants to be in the Masquerade, but if we can manage to get both of them done, and I don't want her to worry about mine and sacrifice trying to win in hers, but she wants to do Setsuna from
Redo of Healer.
Redo of Healer. She's like, I don't know how well that's going to go over from people, but because of the kind of mixed review, but I love the character. I love the design. It's like, do it. Who cares what people think?
I'll tell you right now, I'd have a field day if I was them seeing that. That was in my script. I'm like, oh, so we're doing this. Okay. All right. Well, let's go for it.
But he's been trying to get me to cosplay as Krim.
I'm planning at some point as cosplaying as Stunk from Interspecies Reviewers. And I was like, Darren, why don't you just cosplay as Krim? You know?
And you can have Jeremy cosplay as Felix.
I was thinking he would be a better Murdy. I could have asked you. I could have said you should cosplay as the Harpy, but
I know.
We already have you dressing up as Nico. So.
Oh no. I'd rather Kumagawa or Izuyoi.
And we are just almost out of time. My God, it's 10 o'clock already. Where has the time gone? Big thank you.
When you're having fun.
A big thank you to everybody for tuning in tonight. Big thank you to our guests, Mario Bueno and Godswill Ugga Jr. for joining us tonight. Mario, it's been such a blast catching up with you.
Oh, always a blast to chat with y'all here. So thanks for having me back on.
As always, a big thank you to our co-host, Darren, for all the work you do behind the scenes, hanging out with us tonight and helping set up things tonight. Great job as always.
Thank you, and you're welcome for staying awake.
Next week, we have a fantastic show lined up. You don't want to miss this one. We are going to have Giovanni Cruz, talented actress and voice actress. She is well known for being in, it's late. My memory sucks. And for some reason, I always forget the name of the movie she was just in. It was that action movie. It was like a superhero. Crap! Why can I not remember? I feel so bad.
You've had a little bit too much eggnog.
No, I've always had a problem remembering the name of the movie, which I like. It happens all the time. God, why can I not remember this? And it's like, oh, she's just posted behind the scenes from this movie, and it was a big, big movie. Suicide Squad. So she was in Suicide Squad. We had her on the show a while ago, where she was the voice of Himiko in Shobai Rock Mashu Maresh when we had our Mashu Maresh special for our last show on Blog Talk. So it's going to be a lot of fun welcoming her back to the show. As a special treat, we had a friend of ours who ran their first convention in New Hampshire earlier this year, just a month or so ago. Sadly we weren't able to attend, but we did donate to their charity auction a guest co-host spot, and the winner of that is Rachel Mather. She will be joining us in the guest co-host spot to chat for a couple hours with Giovanni. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Darren, as you know, we love bringing people together here on the show, much like tonight, having Mario and Godswill finally have a chance to sit down and chat. November 21st and 28th, we have open dates. We're going to see if we can find some people coming in for that. December 5th is going to be another one of those shows where we bring people together. Our guest for December 5th is going to be Kitam Cosplay. He is an amazingly talented cosplayer. The makeup that he does is unbelievable. And as a special guest co-host, we are bringing back the person who introduced us to Kitam Cosplay. Christy Rothrock, talented voice actress, is going to be in the co-host seat to interview a cosplayer. We love doing stuff like this. It makes me so happy when we can bring a voice actor on to interview a cosplayer. We've done it before with Bryn April and Emily Morris, who cosplayed as Cyan. So when we had Bryn come on to talk with her, we didn't tell her about it. And that was one of those epic shows as well years ago. December 12th, we have Tico Flores Kyle, very talented stuntman and actor, is going to be coming on. It's been a while since we've chatted with him, so we're going to see what he's been up to. And then, like I mentioned, Saturday, December 18th, we have our voice actor roundtable with Christy Rothrock. We're trying to get at least 2 or 3 more people to join us that night. So keep an eye on our Facebook page. We're going to be posting updates as we get them. Of course, if you enjoyed the show, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, help us get to 200 subscribers by the end of the year. We're almost at 100. We need to pick up the steam here. We need your help to share the show, share the channel. We want to keep bringing you awesome content, and we want to grow that like button, because once we hit that 200 subscriber count, we are doing a giveaway where one of you lucky fans gets to sit in for a guest co-host spot for a voice actor interview in the future. So want a chance to sit in the seat here and chat with some of the amazing voice actors we've had on the show, we'd love to have you. Help us hit that 200 subscriber mark as quick as we can, because who knows, if we hit it before the 18th, you might be a part of the roundtable. But until next week, once again, a big thank you to Mario Bueno, Godswill Ugga Jr., Darren, on behalf of our sponsors, Home Circle Media and Casey Fox. Thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. Have a wonderful night. Have a safe week. And we'll see you again right here next Sunday. Have a good night, everyone.
Night.